Good afternoon, good evening, and good day. Good morning to those of you on the West Coast. Sorry, Moto made me a toast sandwich. Thought I'd finish it before the intro finished. Let's see. Make sure chat is working. Make sure you all can hear me. Let's see. Well, it's still on the intro. Let's unmute it. Yep. Okay. So now let's get let's get into presentation view. Well, I can't see you guys. Let me fix that and then get into presentation view. Load up this web browser, and then we'll be golden. Okay. So making the projector, and we're putting it in front of the camera. There. There's still nothing in the projector, but that's neither here nor there. All right, so we know the web browser is going to be too big, so let's shrink it down while we wait. There we go. Make it a little shorter. Then we'll go into presentation view. Make this full screen here so I can see it. And we've got our first chat is from Andrews. Good evening from Stockholm at 7:17 p.m. There we go. So let's see now. I need to tell it which window is the web browser. And then we can get started. This first article is one I saw when opening the browser. You know, sometimes they give you stories. Well, this one was about Tesla, and so I clicked it. And then we've got a couple from the notes for the week. Let's see. It's called. Yes, that's what it's called. Oh, look at that! I did a really decent job of getting the size of that browser right. Let's make it a little wider. Oh, there we go. Got it. Maybe a little bit taller. I think I've done this before or something. Okay, so this one I found, like I said, just opening the browser, and it's called 8 Weird But Useful Tesla Model Y and 3 Accessories You Need to Know. We'll be the judge of that. Air mattress, yep, it's both an official and aftermarket accessory. Car camping is fun. I don't know how much Tesla's charging for theirs. All set tray. Uh, I'm much more partial to the car tray, but this looks like it'll do the trick. The difference is the car tray is on the steering wheel and or yoke. And I just like the way that particular one is built. Then we've got the desk wedge. All right, that's from our friend Amir, or not Amir, Arash. And the desk wedge and the scent wedge are solid products. I never did the desk wedge because I never had a compatible vehicle. Same for the scent wedge, but watching the quality he puts into making the products and the quality he puts into his videos, I feel comfortable saying give it a try. Let's see. I think he goes by Minimal Duck. Arash does on X. USB hub with RGB lighting. Mm, I mean, I guess if you have one that's already got RGB, then that might be kind of cool. I do like that it gives you an assortment of port types, but I don't know that it's essential. Andrew says, I have 5 weeks vacation to look forward to. You know what? I wish our country knew how to do that. And Timothy says, hello, Kacey and friends. Yes, hello. Let's see. A gaming controller. Yeah, that one I would say if you play games in the car, I would do that with any Tesla. And Andrew says, hi, Icar. And let's see. The HUD projector. I like the idea of a HUD, and Elon dismisses it out of hand because GM had some crappy ones for a while. I would like to see a decent HUD. I think that the only ones that are going to look the greatest are going to be either factory or high dollar aftermarket. But it's worth a try, I guess. It's a hidden storage box. Maybe. On the 3 and Y, if you park in the wrong place, they're going to bust your window anyway. So don't park in the wrong places. And security through obscurity isn't really security at all. But I guess this is better than nothing. The trunk fridge. So I have the non form fit version of these. They're just regular portable refrigerators by the same company, and they work great. We have one set to freezer and one set, actually deep freezer, and one set to refrigerator. We've got the small one and the large one, and they are wonderful. So, absolutely. So let's move on to what we actually came here to talk about today. What's first on my list? You know what? I'm gonna shake it up. Let's start at the bottom. We're not gonna stay going in reverse order because I'll forget. But we're gonna start with the last one because you guys know I like saving money, and it did not copy the link. Why didn't it copy the link? Copy link means copy the link to the clipboard. There we go. Let's paste and go. All right. So, well, this isn't the one I thought it was. I had a different one at the bottom prior to setting up the show, but we'll go ahead and talk about Cybertruck then. Tesla Cybertruck is on track to be the #1 electric pickup in the US. Let's see. Uh, then Anders says, then I have a week left to take out a total of 32 days. Oh my goodness. I think I get maybe 16, maybe 20. I don't know. I have to be sure not to let them expire. That's all I know for sure. It just kind of helps. This place is pretty good at it. We had one place that would just shut down for the winter, and so even if you had a substantial amount, you had to save 14 of them to for the company just to be closed. And you could use them for other stuff, but then that meant for 2 weeks at the end of the year, you weren't getting paid because it'd be unpaid PTO, unpaid time off, I should say. All right, so Cybertruck is on track to be the #1 electric pickup truck in the U.S. I would not have guessed that from the numbers. If you told me, say, next year or the year after they did it, I'd believe you. But I'm curious their methodology here. Cybertruck is on track to becoming the #1 in the U.S. Recently celebrated Cybertruck becoming the best-selling pickup in the U.S. Really, did it? That would mean. Oh, you know what? That would have been one of the times they outsold like the Rivian, um, which is amazing. Let's see. They reported 44. Well, that's jumping the gun a little bit, isn't it? We didn't even talk about the quarterly update. 44,000, 443,956 vehicles in total for Q2 of 2024. The majority of deliveries were Model 3 and Model Y, of course. They reported deliveries of 21,551 of other models, which will include Semi, Cybertruck, S, and X. They did not provide a precise number for their Cybertruck deliveries, which is why I'm wondering how you're going to give us your numbers here. A few official X accounts suggested that the Cybertruck is the best-selling electric truck as of the second quarter, and Tesla's lead engineer for Cybertruck, Wes, celebrated the electric pickup's achievement on X. Okay, so that would be how. It turns out my Twitter notifications for the browser here were disabled. I just re-enabled them yesterday. They've been on my phone, but my phone is Samsung, so it's got a 24 tweet limit, and I've got on my iDevice on the iPad, but uh, it has a nasty habit of if you click on some types of notifications and you don't know before you click on them, uh, particularly like deleted tweets, it will take you to the notifications list. And anytime you go to the notifications list on any of the apps for X, it will clear the notifications on all of your devices except the browser, thankfully. So I don't like using that one because if I was surfing it through notifications, I was surfing it through notifications for a reason. So uh, the 24 I know is a Samsung limitation because my Pixel doesn't have that same limitation. It still has one, but it's not 24, which if I want unlimited notifications up to the RAM limit, let me do that. At least pick something reasonable, like 200, and then collapse them into, expandable, because having to scroll through 200 individual notifications would suck. Anyway, so what did Wes X? He tweeted, "Let's go! The best-selling pickup is also made in America, best-selling electric pickup is also made in America, and it's also very likely the most American-made pickup too. Happy 4th," said Wes. Must be in reply to something. Cybertruck retweeted Sawyer. News for the first time ever, Cybertruck was the #1 best-selling electric pickup truck in America in Q2, outselling the Ford F-150 Lightning. Congrats, Tesla. Interesting. I want to click play, but I might have to click pause real quick. Let's see what happens with this audio. Takes us to X. No, it is audioless, which is fine. #1 best-selling pickup truck in America. #1 most American-made full-size pickup truck. Is that a fan ad? It looks like a fan ad. All right. Gregor Truck says, "Celebrate! A huge congrats to Tesla. Cybertruck is the best-selling electric pickup truck this quarter." I am curious to post community notes. All right, and so then Ford's numbers were Mach-E 12,645, Ford F-150 Lightning 7,902. If they, well, actually that works. So if they can recall 11,000 Cybertrucks, and there were 4,000 of them last quarter, that means they sold more after the recall, because 11 minus 8, it gives us 3,000. I'm rounding up on the Lightning, obviously. So 3,000. No, they wouldn't. Oh, but wait, 11 minus 8. And there were 4 already. That meant they sold another 1,000 after the recall in order to do that. The E-Transit 3410. I don't like the way it handles these show mores, in that it moves you around, for a total of 23,957. Congrats to Ford. 44,180 total EVs sold for the first half of the year. Ford brand EVs trail only Tesla. That is sad. I mean, again, congrats to Ford, but that is sad that is a true statement. We need to do better. Lightning, Mach-E and F-150 Lightning are drawing customers away from other brands, and that's what I keep saying about Toyota. Uh, you don't offer what people want, they will. You don't even have to worry about conquest sales. They will self-elect to go somewhere else. There was no plug-in Toyota at the time that I wanted a plug-in, so I moved on over to Chevy because the Nissan Leaf was just too close to comfort, and turned out to be the right call because that was pre-Lizard battery, so I would have been stranded. So we got the Chevy Volts, 2 of them. And then when I wanted a pure EV, Chevy didn't have any, so I moved on over to Tesla. Again, the only other choice at the time was the Leaf, and even though I no longer would have been shut out of my commute for it, I didn't see a need to have 2 cars, so I got 1 car that could do everything. The used Model S that I bought from Ford. And then eventually, FSD was only going up, and they had some really good deals. So I bought the Model X P100D that's still here. Anyway, back on track. Yeah, so these people have moved to Ford from brands that were not fulfilling their needs. 62% of F-150 Lightning sales and 54% of Mach-E sales were new to Ford. Congrats to them. Happy for them, but they're still moving too slow. Yep. So probably sell more Cybertruck than all 3 of those combined in Q3. It's possible. Lightning is a great truck. I don't understand why every local contractor who doesn't tow doesn't have one. There's a guy local to here who toes with his. He appears to be a contractor because it's a cargo trailer, much like my own, but smaller, and it very much looks like it goes to work. Let's see. Tesla's already selling more Cybertruck than Ford and F-150 Lightning and R1T. Yes, yes, that's true. Um, yeah, we don't need to poo-poo on Ford. We need to see the numbers up. Uh, Dr. Know-It-All is asking the same question I was asking. Where are we getting the numbers? But the one thing we can say is coming from the manufacturer, they're probably somewhat accurate because you don't want to get caught with false advertising or making false statements to the public. Marcus says, good day, y'all," and from High Voltage Performance and Racing Team with EV Smoke. And Mr. All Electric Car Lunacy says hello. Hello to everyone. Good to see you all. Let me check the multi-stream messages real quick. Just make sure I'm not leaving anybody out. Now that we've got Facebook working again. Uh, that is missing. Okay. And let's continue on. It doesn't say the methodology, but again, like I said, uh, oh, here we go. So it's got some of his methodology right here. At least 7,810 Cybertrucks were produced between April 17th and June 19th based on the recall numbers. Ah, I see. So this part of the recall didn't apply to the existing trucks then. That leaves 3.5 weeks of production in the quarter to add to that number, easily beating Ford's 7,900 number. Yeah, because at least 1,000 a week for 3.5 weeks, they could definitely make another 90 cars. So uh, I can give it to that methodology. Fair enough. All right, let's go back to what we were talking about. So is making numbers. Rivian reported 13,790 vehicle deliveries in the second quarter, and they did not provide a breakdown of R1T to R1S. So then we're going to be looking at people doing DMV data and such. Now let's go on to the next one, the one that I thought that I was sharing, and then we'll go from the top. We're gonna not the link to the paragraph. I need the link. There we go. And paste and go. There we go. This one is from Drive. Bankrupt Tesla rival is to sell off electric SUVs for $3,700 each. Report. So, as I've been mentioning, Fisker has gone bankrupt. Chapter 11, they're trying to do, I believe. Not chapter 7. And they're not out of business yet, but I don't know what to make of this right here. There's no way that their cost is this low. The battery alone will cost more than $3,700 in bulk. Mr. Electric Car Lunacy says it didn't come through before since I mentioned the website. They really need to be shouting from the rooftops that the Model Y has been at the top of the American Made Index for 3 straight years. Exactly. They just got it again this year. It's a good point. And but I don't think that they only made the most American. I think they made the most German and the most or most European and the most Chinese as well, depending on where you are to care. Obviously, probably no official Chinese viewers in the room. Not to say there's not somebody in China watching us, but we've got folks overseas. So yeah, it's the most European car made, and it's the most American made car. Gotta love it. And it's only going to continue. We've got the Mexico factory opening up eventually. We've got 2 others in talks. This is going to be amazing. So speaking of Fisker, like I said, I don't think that even the battery is cheap enough in bulk for them to do this at cost. So to say that they're going to recover from this is extremely unlikely. If you don't mind getting a car that doesn't have all of its telemetry working, the apps, the screen, all that, $3,600 each. You know what? That seems like a cheap way to get a battery, even if you don't like the car. I'm gonna look into this. It's far from the almost 58,000 that they started at, but Fisker has been forced to find a bulk buyer for its remaining fleet to solve cash flow issues. Lee says, greetings, and waves at us, and hope everyone is doing well. Yeah, I think I might want a Fisker at this price. Would I take it for long trips? No. I've got other things I would do with a Fisker. It might not even still look like a Fisker when I'm done with it at that price. Let's see. Bankrupt car maker Fisker is selling off the remaining batch of SUVs at $2,500 a pop in order to pay off its debts. They filed for bankruptcy in June after months of financial struggles. Production of the Fisker Ocean, a Model Y rivaling SUV, was paused in March, and prices of the vehicles in stock were slashed by 40%. Now the cost has hit the bottom of the seafloor, with the company said to be in the process of working on a deal to offload the last 3231 vehicles for as little as $2,500 each. According to the website, Fisker's in talks to sign a deal filed in the U.S. bankruptcy court earlier this week, accounting to $46.25 million in order to pay off its debts. Oh, somebody's buying them in bulk. That's unfortunate, because I would definitely want to buy one at that price. A hearing to decide the outcome will take place next week, and the Wall Street Journal reported that the fleet deal was with American Lease. The firm said to be uh, interested in taking a large number of Oceans due to a new rule which requires New York's ride-sharing vehicles to be all electric by 2030. So they're going to want to use them as taxis. It has agreed to pay $16,500 each for the brand new Ocean in good working order, what Fisker says it has 2711 of. Damaged vehicles will go for $2,500. I want a damaged Fisker because then I don't feel like I'm wasting it. Assuming the battery works. Battery and the motors. I got plans. Uh, while previously titled Oceans will go for $3,200. So those are used ones. Prototype or pre-production vehicles which can't be sold or used for parts, along with Canadian configured Oceans in Canada, are excluded from the sale. They say this, but you keep seeing old prototypes pop up all over the world, even though they're supposed to be destroyed. Mr. Electric Car Lunacy says $3,700. That's cheaper than a used Nissan Leaf battery. Yes, exactly. Like if this was like to the public, which I kind of thought it was when I was scrolling through, that's kind of why I brought it up. That would have been amazing. We all could have one. Uh, oh, so let this be a warning that the next time we see a company named Fisker, wait a little while before trying to buy one. That's not to say they can't recover from this, but I don't see it happening. Fisker, who sold the Ocean, is the second startup created by former Aston Martin and BMW and Tesla designer Henrik Fisker. His first going under was in 2013 when all of the Fisker Karmas at the New York dock were submerged by Hurricane Sandy, and then they caught fire because they were wet. Not just wet, but soaked. The situation with him being working for Tesla, he started on the Model S and then left, and Tesla sued him for taking the design and putting it on the Fisker Karma. Thank goodness that ugly thing didn't become the Model S, because front of that looked like a razor for some reason. The front end of the Karma Rivera, which is what was left after that company was bought out, doesn't look so bad. But again, you were overpaying for a Chevy Volt. Worse than the Cadillac ELR overpayment on a Chevy Volt. You had the 4 seats, you had the 40-mile range, and I think it had a V6 instead of a 4-cylinder. And it just wasn't that great a car. It was unique. Anyway, it went on sale for 39 grand. The article just like peters out there. Anyway, let's go on to the next one. Let's see if I can click on the links and make them work. Yes, we can. Mr. All Electric Car Lunacy says, Rich has those Archimoto roadsters. I saw. Yeah, that's what I'm talking about. How are these happening? And I would like to do something like Rich has done. Just make a project car out of it. Uh, Folks keep comparing Fisker to Aptera in posts I see, and I just don't see it. Aptera had one failure round and put their hopes too much on that DOE money, and then switched to four wheel. Oof. Yeah. Aptera 1.0 is not the same thing as what we saw with Fisker 1.0 or 2.0. And Fisker 2.0 or Fisker 2.0, sorry, Aptera 2.0 seems to be doing a much better job of managing their money. They're on a knife edge, but they don't seem to have anywhere near the kind of problems that Fisker had. Like for one, his wife was doing the money, and apparently wasn't certified for it or is any good at it, obviously. And the only difference there, though, is that Fisker did get something to market, but was it ready to go to market? It doesn't. It doesn't sound like it. All right. So Ford CEO Jim Farley says Americans need to get back in love with smaller cars amid the EV transition. I've actually got a browser tab open with his article that I have yet to read, and I did not watch the video either. So we talked about it a little bit on the Tesla Life show this week, and I think it's pretty cool. Uh, Jim Farley and the two VW CEOs, the two most recent ones, the current one, and I believe it was Mr. Dietz, both admitted that they needed to be electric and they need to do a better job of it, but they aren't there yet. To the point where, as we talked about last week, uh, VW and Rivian have signed an agreement for several $billion to get them what they need.
There's a low price offer from your car. Here is more on Fogatti Electric.
I don't need any of that. Okay. Farley did not provide a lot of details about Ford's affordable EV. He stated that the upcoming vehicle will be developed by the automaker's dedicated Skunk Works team, which operates independently from Ford's main business. That's one way to do it right there, because then they can't be influenced by all the stagnant forces that Sandy was telling us about when he was at GM and Ford, uh, because that sort of thinking can destroy the company in the long run, or at least make them non-competitive. Very much like what we keep seeing with Toyota, how they keep saying how they're fully into EVs and then they walk it back, and then they were fully into EVs and here's some hydrogen crap. Uh, uh, but we know they know how to do it because Prius came out of such a team, and we saw, I think Rav4 came out of such a team, so they can do it. They just aren't. Anyway, so that's pretty cool. I'm gonna read the article and watch the video. This video right here. I'll open it in a new tab so I don't forget. I said I'll open a new tab so I don't forget. Thank you, browser. I clicked the button, the middle click button, and it didn't open the tab. Uh, Jim Farley calls on the U.S. to rally behind EVs. So he's been consistent on this, just like Carlos Ghosn has been consistent that EVs are the way. Uh, Back before mainstream EVs were looking practical, he was very anti, not Farley, but Ghosn was very anti hybrid, and he was like, hybrid suck, don't do it. So I was like, well, no reason to buy the Nissan Altima with the Camry engine. The Leaf, why not? That's consistent with what they were saying. All right, next article. Let's close down some of these tabs. The browser is screaming. Let's see. Oh, I guess I should have grouped these together better. This one is also Fisker. Yeah, so Fisker recalls over 12,000 Oceans because the doors might not open. Uh, we just got done talking about a bunch of FUD about how people were claiming that the Tesla doors would not open when it was really a knowledge issue. Let's see what's going on with the ocean. Obviously, it's real because they're doing a recall. Don't drag your feet on this. If you're one of the people that we know that has an ocean, do not drag your feet because once they're out of business, there's not going to be anybody to do the work. So don't bring them both keys because if you need to go in and do a self repo because they went out of business while working on your car, you need another set of keys to go in there and get it. 12,500 Fisker Oceans have a new issue. The Ocean's exterior door handles can stick and fail to open. Fisker's filed for bankruptcy. um, they were calling 12,523 Oceans globally because of an issue that could cause exterior door handles to stick and fail to open. The company has announced this on the past Friday. The recall encompasses 8,204 vehicles in the US, 513 in Canada, and 3,806 in Europe, according to company press release. In the US, Oceans were delivered as both 2023 and 2024 model years, and Fisker estimates that 2.5% of vehicles could have the defect, which the company attributes to a malfunctioning mechanism. Fisker will inspect all four door handles on affected vehicles with a specialized force checking tool provided by the supplier of the door handles, and will replace them if necessary, free of charge. Hmm. And then I guess they'll get the money back from the supplier of the door handles and the force checking tool. Owner letters are expected to be mailed on August 30th. Don't wait for the letter. Call up your Fisker dealer and get this underway. Owners can contact Fisker at 844-347-5371. And for reference, the recall number is TSB 55062401. Or contact the NHTSA at 888-327-4236. And the NHTSA reference number for this is 24 Victor 466000. This is the third recall of the Ocean this month alone, and NHTSA has 4 open investigations into issues related to the vehicles, according to Reuters. Uh, and then they remind us that Fisker filed for bankruptcy. Ocean production was slow to ramp, but once it did, sales were even slower. And for the glut of undelivered EVs, Fisker paused production in March as it sought to draw down inventory and seek additional funding. Around the same time, Fisker slashed prices by 24 grand, while concerns about quality issues were already creeping in. Uh, Tesla began freezing Oceans out as trade-ins. Yeah, not just Tesla. As I said before, the last time Fisker went out of business, the finance companies they let us know not to sell any karmas unless they were cash. And obviously, at that point, it didn't matter because they weren't getting loans. Yeah, I do feel for our friends who have Fiskers and are in the middle of all this. This is really tall. There must be a lot of comments. No, 29. Banks recall over 12,000 Fisker loans for fear of default. I guess that's a possibility. I didn't know that was something that happened. I guess it would depend on the type of loans. We've seen it happen in other industries before, where companies doing poorly and then they call for all the money up front. I know they do it with some types of balloons and stuff, but wow. Of course, that assumes there will still be a Fisker or successor company on August 30th. That's not a bet I would be willing to take. Actually, there is a workaround to the external handle getting stuck. If the handle is pressed on the front side, the other side swivels up and then can be pulled to unlock. Okay, that is good to know if you don't get it fixed before then and this happens to you. However, there is a bigger issue that a small number may face. If the electronic unlock fails, for whatever reason, the internal latch may not unlock the door, even when pulled fully. The cable that performs the action may be dislodged. Yeah, that's bad. Uh, in such a situation, the occupants will get locked in. Yeah, that's bad. Uh, They could exit through the tailgate or sunroof in an emergency. This is not unique to Fisker Ocean, but is probably the bigger one to worry about. How is this not unique to Fisker Ocean? If the cable can get dislodged by the exterior door handle, I guess because it's not. That could happen on a car with regular door handles and no electronic stuff. Like the door handle could just stop working from the outside. But even in those cases, like where people rip the door handles off their Camrys, it doesn't stop the internal door handle from working. Or similarly, if you rip the internal door handle uh, cable off, it doesn't stop the external door handle from working. That's a bad design. Braxton says, "Keep the windows open, Duke boys." I could have told people not to buy a Fisker, but I waste too much time trying to pound sense into people as it is. I it's I personally wouldn't have done it, but I don't know at the same time that it was obvious before March that they were not doing well. There was a time when we weren't expecting them to actually come to market at all, but that's a little different. Tough break for Fisker owners. The new vehicle is subject to recalls. This is true, but any other vehicle that is subject to recalls doesn't have the company on the verge of falling out of business. I'll give you that. Right, that was the point right there. Porsche isn't on the verge of bankruptcy. Um, and they could pull a Tesla and ignore defects. I wouldn't. I wouldn't say that because we got another story about what Tesla's doing with something that's going on here. And when you look at it in the past, oftentimes they would fix the problem before they even start the recall, and oftentimes they would initiate the recall, not the NHTSA. Other times, NHTSA or whoever else, in the case of the FSD recalls, would would do it for them. Uh, to all the green car reports regulars who remember what it was like before this arrived on the scene. We're not going to get into a spat here. I was looking for useful comments. At least so there were. Yes. All right, let's go on to the next one. Uh, you know what? I'm going to jump around. Keep this in the realm of recalls. Let me see who's at my door. My daughter, apparently. You did what, baby? You did what with the window? You saw the window? You saw the door. Oh, they're telling you to open house. Oh, did she go in or what? Okay. You want to shoot up? You saw the people looking at the other people's house? You saw the open house, yeah. Okay. Come here, let me get your shoe then. When the people did? You didn't do that? Yeah. People went in the door? You saw baby people there? Oh, you were talking to the people. The baby was swimming? They were swimming in the door? Oh. Really? Door. No, baby. You made this for me. Let me finish it. Yes, I'm gonna eat it when I'm not talking. Thank you. It was delicious. I'm not done with it though. Here, let me get your shoes. Your foot, please. There you go. All right, go drink some water. It's hot outside. Yeah, go drink some water with mommy. Yeah. She wants to communicate so badly, but her vocabulary isn't there yet. And she was telling me a story, and she knew she wasn't using the right words, but she really wanted me to know what she saw. It was exciting. You want some of your? You want some of the sandwich you gave me? You want it back? You're welcome, baby. All right, let's read these comments again. Yeah, folks comparing Fisker to Terra. So as I was saying, keeping this in the realm of recalls. This is not exactly a recall, but is something like a recall. And then we'll go on from there. Let's say it smells and walks like a recall. Let's say that. Uh, Tesla is upgrading the Cybertruck's electric motor. Oh. Tesla is now upgrading the Cybertruck electric motor with a more efficient, reliable motor, according to Tesla themselves. Tesla started to contact some early Cybertruck owners to tell them that they will change their electric drivetrain. The automaker is saying that automaker says that it is about conducting a study of early Cybertrucks. At select owners' next service visit, Tesla will change one of the drive units for free. Which one? One of them. What we do know is that all of the Cybertrucks sold to date have been multi-motor between either the dual motor or the Cyber Beast tri-motor, and improved efficiency and reliability is what you're gonna get right there. So it's not a recall, but it certainly does sound like one. The automaker didn't specify that it is specifically the front motor or the rear motor that will be replaced. All Cybertrucks currently have at least two. This isn't the first time that Tesla has just done upgrades on stuff in the past. There was a bulletin on my car that somebody said to make sure that I had done where the how did it go? They had to reroute the harness, and so I called asking, "Hey, I need to see if this was done, and go ahead and schedule to have it done if you hadn't done it already." And they looked and they said, "Yeah, this was done on X date." I'm like, it wasn't even on my paperwork that you did it. Otherwise, I would have asked. Um, Marcus says, yes, it is a big difference too on the motor upgrade. That's exciting. I'm curious. Do you know if it's the front or the rear? I know that Fred doesn't. And are you allowed to say if you know? But it sounds exciting because more efficiency is something that we definitely would want, and longevity, absolutely. Here, my car is sitting on the cusp of 100,000 miles for months now, and 6 years old. It's I can keep them for a while, and even if I don't keep them for a while, I still pile on the miles. So something that has some reliability and endurance would be really nice. What some folks have stated that they thought would be really cool is if this is to keep them ahead of the advancements that we saw in the R1 series for their mid-cycle refresh. So they didn't specify if it's the front or the rear, and they specify that the drive unit is not dangerous to drive, making it sound like the new upgraded version is simply a more refined version of the electric motor. Yeah, so we've seen other cases of this where you come in and Tesla will just swap out parts for you if you didn't still have to be under warranty. You just had to have the part that they wanted to change out. We've seen it with all sorts of parts all through history on the Model S, through the Model 3, Model Y. Dual motors, yes. Try the fronts. Okay, so this is the permanent magnet motor is getting switched out then because it's permanent magnet in the front on the um, Cybertruck and the rear on the duals. That is really cool. I would like to see what they did because when you look at like when Monroe does the cutaways, he says like that's pretty cool right there. Uh, Deliveries of the Cybertruck started late last year, and automakers generally launch new versions of a vehicle program in a new model year. And Tesla prefers to implement change whenever they're ready for production. It could be as simple as Tesla finding some optimization through reviews of early Cybertrucks, and now the automaker is bringing back some of its early motors to see if it can find further optimizations. The other part of it is uh, that they might want to find out just how certain units have done. Like, hey, we had a couple of folks who had battery concerns all throughout the Model S's lifetime, where Tesla would bring back the battery from them, even if it wasn't airing out or not at the right level of degradation. Give you a brand new pack, and then take yours back for study, because then you've got a real world example rather than something that was done in a laboratory or something that was done with a professional driving team. So that meant that they could see how normal customers were working out with this. So there are a lot of chances for cynicism here, but um, this isn't something that's entirely new to the company. The reason that the cynics might be a little louder here than typical is because Tesla doesn't have a PR team. And so, uh, like we saw where the PR team they do have, Mr. Musk, isn't that great at communicating. Where we saw where they were accused of diverting the AI chips to XAI, and then even when Elon clarified, he still didn't actually clarify it. Where they were saying that he was stealing them from Tesla and taking them to XAI. I was like, that can't be true because you obviously found out about it. That he's not that stupid. Then he said, "Yeah, Tesla wasn't using them," and I'm like, "Oh, Elon, that's not how you phrase that." So I figured what he's probably trying to say is they swapped order dates, and then like 2 weeks later, we found out yes, exactly what happened. They swapped the October slot with XAI's much later slot so that the Tesla could have the building finished to put the chips in, so they didn't have to buy or rent or use a warehouse they already have for the same chips. So yes, nobody was using them. Somebody could use them, his company, but the way it was phrased, he could have avoided so much if if he just got somebody trained in public speak to put the message out or to give him the talking points. Right, so Tim the Chanter thinks that there's got to be a problem they're fixing. No way they replace them just to improve efficiency. That's not entirely true, but also I can see why he would think that. However, it could also be Tesla finding a problem with the existing drivetrain, and there's a soft start to the retrofitting program. That's another thing that is possible. Is the new one is just so good that they want to go ahead and just not have any of the old ones around for later. That way, say you're doing a repair 7 years from now, and then like there are so few of this old model out there, you don't want to confuse the technicians on it. Just to get it out of the way, not have to worry about doing this at some other time after a failure. Let's see. For example, Tesla doesn't even have ADAS features on the Cybertruck. They do, but they're not functioning yet because of the software. All right, so we talked about the recall of the Oceans. We talked about new motors on Cybertruck. Let's talk about Foundation Series. All right, so Elon told us on the conference call that the Foundation Series was coming to an end. And then Tesla started sending out emails to customers that Foundation Series is going to be running through the end of the year. And this could be a case of Elon just saying stuff, or it could be a case of uh, things changed. or when Elon said that, some people who didn't put their orders in so they didn't get left out. Um, like I've said on the Tesla Life show, if I get a chance to convert my Foundation series into an order instead of a an invite financially, I will do it. But if I can't come into the money before the program ends, then I will save the money and get a dual motor with the tax credit. Um, but some people that wasn't actually a concern of theirs. They were just waiting and waiting, and so they saw that and you probably had a last minute crush on the orders. It doesn't necessarily mean that Elon was lying or talking without consulting the facts. It very well could have been something changed between the conference call and that wasn't the conference call, was it? I think that was actually at the meeting. But either way, between when Elon said it and when the emails went out, I do believe I got the email, but when I searched for it, I couldn't find it. I don't typically delete them before I talk about them, assuming that it's like a campaign. Obviously, if they sent me a personal email, I might not talk about it. Let's see. This implies the more affordable option will be available in Q3 or Q4. But a new email sent to Tesla by two prospective Cybertruck owners seems to directly contradict this claim. According to a post by Reddit user, uh, this person, the newest email going out to reservation holders states that the company expects to deliver only Foundation Series trucks this year. Now, there's a couple ways this could play out. They could only deliver Foundations through the end of the year and still have the non-Foundation go on sale this year. Or, like we talked about on the Tesla Life show, uh, there are a number of ways they could do it, such as having the Cyber Beast still be Foundation, but the dual motor go off, or the other way around. Uh, Dual motor is still Foundation, and Cyber Beast goes off to regular mode. We'll see what actually plays out. Yep. All right, let's see what the next one is. This one is kind of buried in the middle. We got our quarterly results, and they were nice. Press releases, Tesla vehicle deliveries, and date for financial results and webcast for second quarter. Model 3 and Y, they produced 386,576 while delivering 422,405 with 2% on lease accounting. While they built 24,255 S's and X's, semis, and Cybertrucks while delivering 21,551 of those for a total of 410,831 produced and 443,956 sold, of which 2% were subject to lease accounting because only 1% of the others were. Tesla will post financial results for the second quarter of 2024 after market close on Tuesday, 2023. Sorry, Tuesday, July 23rd, 2024. Sorry about that. And at this time, Tesla will issue a brief advisory containing a link to the Q2 2024 update, which will be available on Tesla's investor relations website. Tesla management will hold a live Q&A and webcast that day at 4:30 p.m. Central Time or 5:30 p.m. Eastern Time to discuss the company's financial and business results and outlook. And so that's on Tuesday, which is still a change from their typical Wednesday. I think they've done one other Tuesday before. And here it is right here. They deployed 9.4 gigawatt hours of energy storage products in Q2, the highest quarterly deployment yet. And that is an understatement. I think it was over 100% more than last time. I'd have to look at the tweet or the numbers to be sure. So that's pretty cool. All right, we talked about upgrading the Cybertruck. This one was a surprise. But the implications of it are Tesla vehicles are now approved as government vehicles in China. So we were just talking about them being the most regional vehicles of region. So the most American, the most American vehicle, the most European, the most Chinese, and a couple things allowed this to happen right here. They brought all of the data collection in-house, or I guess it was always in-house, but they localized it so the Chinese data doesn't leave China, and that was a big sticking point for China with all these cameras on the car. Kinda again tells me that's something that they would do with their cars if they were freaking out so bad about it happening on other people's cars in their country. Um, so now they're on the list of not just being able to soon have FSD running in their country, but also to now be purchased by government offices to use as government cars, and that's pretty darn cool. This seems like a significant win for Tesla. I wonder what they had to do to get it. Well, starting with keeping the data in China. Electrics take this could open Tesla up to some large scale government sales in China, but I think it also shows that Tesla is increasingly cozying up to the Chinese government, especially in the last few months. China is a critical market for electric vehicles and therefore also Tesla. It is the largest auto market in the world and it is adopting electric vehicles at a higher rate than any other large auto market, including the US. Yeah. Yeah, Norway is a higher percentage, but they are a much smaller country. Let's see. Uh, I'm coming for your your methane stoves, folks. Nobody's coming to take them out of your house, but you should really consider what's actually going on before you have a knee jerk reaction to just put one in because somebody told you not to. I found somebody who was selling an induction stove on Facebook Marketplace because they recently bought a gas one. Like one that doesn't look like an induction stove. Two, uh, way to own the other party by poisoning your own family. Um, and kind of topical right there. Breaking news: Tropical storm Beryl is strengthening to a hurricane and will make landfall in central Texas coast early tomorrow morning. So, for those of our viewers out there in Texas and other, assorted regions that are connected, be safe, follow instructions, and don't risk life and limb for property. Be safe. If you still drive a combustion vehicle, fill it up today. And if you have an electric vehicle, make sure you bump your uh, charge percentage up to enough that you can get to the next couple towns away to charge up if you need to evacuate. Yeah, and be prepared for more of these record-setting storms because we're not, regardless of where you think is happening with climate change, it doesn't make sense to just keep making it worse or doing things that will make it worse, whether or not you think that this is our fault. It's like not my fault the house was on fire, but let me just go ahead and pour some gasoline on it. That's not my fault that it was on fire. So anyway, a new study uncovers updated health risks of benzene in natural gas, aka methane, and its lead author says that one factor is especially concerning. Uh, so I put this in there to say that more studies showing us that you don't want to do this. Somebody pointed out that this is mitigated a little bit by running your vent hood, which yes, it is slightly mitigated, but it's not eliminated by. And then somebody else pointed out that in the wintertime, uh, you've got the excess heat coming from because what methane does best is it heats up the room. Next up, it heats up your pot, which then heats up the food. What induction does is it heats up the pot, which then heats up your food. And what the curly-Q coils do, and what the infrared ceramics do, is similar to the methane, except they don't waste as much around the sides of the pot because their flow is not the same. And even the brand new ones have been found to be leaking pollutants into your air. They pointed out that not everybody can smell the leaks because the leaks are so small. Seemingly every week, scientists uncover more and information about the dangers of methane stoves. Burning gas inside kitchens has been linked to over 1 in 8 causes of childhood asthma, cases of childhood asthma, sorry, an elevated risk of pneumonia, bronchitis, the pollution of our air and environment. And now, one new study published by the scientific journal Environmental Research Letters is revealing a more frightening, revealing even more frightening findings about gas and gas stoves. They found that hundreds of samples from stoves across the North America, they found disturbing, found something disturbing. Nearly all of them, 97%, contain the carcinogen benzene. Over the top of on the top of benzene, other hazardous air pollution pollutants were in over 99% of samples. And when gas appliances like stoves leak, there can be health consequences too. Even though odorants are added to the gas so that people can smell when there's a leak, the study found they might not be enough. And then another thing they pointed out is that even uh, if there were enough that most people could smell it, there's still enough people that cannot smell well enough to do something about it when there is a leak. Right here, 3% of Americans have close to no sense of smell, and the average sense of smell is used as a standard to protect customers from a gas leak is problematic. Yeah, because if the average person can't smell it already, then basing it on them is a triple whammy. Legal action. Given all of the new research underscoring the health impacts of gas stoves, it shouldn't come as a surprise that lawsuits are underway to protect consumers from the dangers of gas. And again, still, they're not coming into your home to take it from you, but you really should consider something else when you're buying a new one. They may make it so that you can't buy a brand new one, but they have also made it so you can't buy a new leaded gasoline car either. So, although you can still buy a leaded gasoline airplane, which is just phenomenal, not in a good way. Moving on. Oh, we already talked about these. We were talking about the Jeep Fiskars and the number one Cybertruck. Let me check the multi-stream real quick, and then we'll do a speed run of the headlines while answering any questions you guys have in chat. Oh, I did miss some in the multi-stream. Robert says thumbs up, and he said thumbs up again. I don't know why the multi-stream didn't show anything the first time. I guess I'll have to work on that. All right, so let's start with, I don't know, let's see if Inside EVs will load for us today. Why do I say that? Something's up with the certificates on many sites that just doesn't make them load for me right now because they appear to be man in the middle. All right, Cybertruck over Cook's Corner flips and lands on its roof. This one, from my understanding, took a turn too fast, didn't go too well, and if I'm not mistaken, it was the guest driver. Ultium sales exceeded 20,000 in Q2 of 2024. Congratulations, GM. EV9 spotted with different bumper and bright green brake calipers. Wonder if this will be a sport or off-road edition of the EV9 because we've already got it. Oh yeah, right there it says GT, so sport version. You can buy a new Toyota Mirai for half the price. Not convinced yet? You can get it with 0% financing for 72 months. Uh, so my friend who has the Mirai and had it out of service for a couple months, where they were just providing him with like Avalons and stuff to drive. He pointed out that for him, where he was driving, all the numbers worked out. You know, the free gas. It was gas. You know, free gaseous hydrogen, free maintenance, et cetera. It just worked out for him, and he said the Prius is a second car if he needed to take a trip out of the region or whatever. Chevy Equinox underperforms in early charging tests. We'll see what they do after their first update. You can't drive a Leaf for $19 in Colorado, but it's crazy cheap. After taxes and dealer fees and monthly payments for a Nissan Leaf S come to a bit over $100 at this Colorado dealership. We talked last week about how the Leaf got a reprieve and is going on sale again for another year. Amazingly. The EX30 boosted Volvo EV sales to another record in June. Not bad. Okay. Scooters. Oh, I had a post I posted on X. We'll flip to that in a second. Alpha ID4 review. Features like Tesla FSD that promise too much or a bad thing, according to Mercedes-Benz. FSD driving supervised profile, chill, average, and too soon. They walked into that one on their own. A FinFast ownership review is surprisingly positive. That's coming from out of spec, obviously. Amazon fans ignite in the Houston heat. Rivian rules out battery fault. So was it the contents? Let's look into this. And then I'll go to, while that loads, we'll go to my X feed and we will look at that one I was telling you about. Ford sales. GM fined $145.8 million over excess emissions. So these companies are still playing this game. The company will also forfeit greenhouse gas credits worth hundreds of millions of dollars. Mini John Cooper Works Electric. This is it. It's supposed to be covered in camouflage, but we can see everything, Mini. Well, that's fun for those folks that are really into minis, and especially the folks that drove the old Mini E's and the other programs that Mini was running in the early days. You can run a new Mini electric. Fisker Ocean owners are lawyering up to keep their cars running. Audi EV sales weakened slightly. Wow, Honda and Acura sold 1,800 EVs. That's good on them. Fixing Fisker Oceans requires wider release of proprietary diagnostic tool. That should be a requirement when these companies go out of business. If somebody doesn't pick up exactly where they are, they need to make the tools available to the public, and they need to find a way to make sure that stays around and they can get distributed. Nissan sales were down, but the Aria was up 123%. Congratulations, Nissan. Subaru Solterra sales more than doubled in June. All right. Hyundai Inster. All right, that's interesting. Electric vehicle sales in Q2 2024 prove that progress isn't a straight line. There's been a lot of doom and gloom articles about, oh yeah, the electrics aren't doing great. Sure. EX30 Volvo buyers are getting full refunds because of glitchy software. That's interesting. Like lemon refund. Honda's new packs can power your scooter or your home. That's cool. All right, like I said, let's go over my next tweet feeds. Next.com/custom. And then let's go to I haven't retweeted anything. Hey, that's us. We're live now. All right, so I posted on the 5th. I posted this is what it takes to get an ice fire in the news. And for some reason, it got a preview on Facebook, but not a preview on X. So let's go there and then pause, mute it, because I don't want the news company coming after us. So Metro Atlanta woman followed her GPS, then her car exploded. So the article isn't like the GPS is not much to do about it right there. Um, let's see. So this is the spot where the car barbecued. Barbecued. The part about the GPS, and that's what it like. They had to be able to construct this weird story to be able to talk about a fossil car fire. Apparently, the GPS told her to go a different way than was normal to go home, and because she did, she got stuck at that stoplight that they saw as they panned down to the ground where the car fire happened. Somebody said, "Yo, lady, your car's on fire," and she said, "What, really?" And then they drove over to here after the light allowed them to make the turn, and yeah, everybody got out safely, even though her friend had limited mobility. Maybe even got stuck for a second, and nobody was injured. And the BMW just barbecued. And so I've talked about in the past how I've seen these massive blazes, and the only way I could ever find anything in the news was if there was a tragedy or something unique about it. In this case, the unique angle was if she didn't follow the GPS, then the car would have continued to be on fire while she was racing home on the freeway. And the reason that we don't see these fossil car fires in the news is that there are enough of them that they're not considered event worthy. Um, there was one the other day when we were going on a trip. I don't know if it was the towing trip or not, but there was like a straight truck that caught fire, like a class six, and there were flares and there was you know police in the road and everything to kind of direct the traffic a little bit. And yeah, it was the morning of the first storage run, and it made like the little Facebook blurb for the morning, but it didn't actually make the news at all. Like the whole front of the cab was just roasted to a crisp. We saw the guy's ice bucket was turned over. And I was like, oh well, it's one way to help, but it's you tossed your lunch. I don't know that you put the fire out. And then as we passed it and we saw the cab was gone, I was like, whoa, didn't do the trick. But yeah, that's what it takes to find out about a fossil fire. You got to actually have it have an angle to it. Let's see what happened to these Amazon vans. It's a video. All right, play this and then I will listen in while we read it. Oh, oh, okay. So this was a quad squad. He left office for lunch and saw this. The video above, you can see a large parking lot with tens of EDVs, and some are plugged in for charging. The maximum temperature that day had reached almost 100 degrees. Fred, as Mark calls it, 100 degrees Fahrenheit. And as the scorching summer heat wave continues across several U.S. states, drone operators saw toxic black smoke rising towards the sky from one Rivian EDV, and then the fire spread to two other EDVs parked adjacent. We're aware of an incident and investigating the situation. There were a few vehicles impacted, but the thermal event propagated from the source to the surrounding vehicles. Vehicles plugged into the charger, but it was not charging when the incident occurred. The HV battery was not the initiator of the incident, the spokesperson said. Some immediate safety precautions have been taken at the site. The chargers connected to the damaged circuit panel have all been turned off. And Amazon electrical engineers and high voltage specialists determined that the rest of the chargers at the site were safe to use. We're grateful no one was injured and thankful for the Houston Fire Department's rapid response. Working with a third-party investigator and are not going to speculate, so we will not be sharing additional details until we're confident in the facts. All right, so there's a clear picture right there. We'll have to zoom around the quad squad video. In the video above, you can see firefighters struggling to extinguish the flames, but it continues to rage on, showcasing the challenges of thermal runaway. Let's go to the comments. One of these studies continue to ignore the real question. What is the likelihood of an undriven vehicle catching fire? Everyone knows there's a risk of fire and collision, and that risk is lower with a BEV. But what might want to know, though, is the risk of a fire when your vehicle's sitting in the garage in the middle of the night. That is not true. That is not true at all. That it is essentially zero with a nice vehicle. As I told Sparkalicious on the tweet there were BMWs catching fire all over Asia while parked, to the point where there was a suggestion that before the recall was issued that if you had one of those BMWs, you disconnect the negative post of the battery before you go to positive post of the battery before you park it for the night, because if there's no electricity, then it shouldn't be catching fire, right? And then this person corrects them right there. Every single one of the 2011 and 2012 Cruise with the 1.4-liter turbo engine was recalled for a very small but real chance of dripping oil and catching fire after the engine was turned off. There you go. Uh, and Evie Stevie says, the only ice car fire I experienced personally was my father's car, which burned down in the garage overnight. The huge fire which burned down the entire car park in London Airport in UK was started by a diesel Range Rover while it was parked. More likely something inside the van ignited. Yeah, temperatures inside an enclosed vehicle can reach 175 degrees, but it'd always be wise to park these EVs at least 20 feet apart for safety. I don't know. Would that have been enough? Guess what temperature? Guess what temperature stuff ignites at? Hint: it's way higher than 175. It depends on what we're talking about. 20-foot spacing between vehicles is not practical at charging stations, and as EVs become more common, it won't be practical anywhere, and it shouldn't be necessary anyway. Cybermonkey did go from the wrong angle, since there isn't much more in the text itself, but categorically there are, right. There are studies past decade on this. One of the first EVs to be produced in mass quantities was the humble Nissan Leaf, which isn't luxury by any means. It's guaranteed to be significantly included in those early studies. There isn't evidence to suggest that the fire risk increases, even close on level to the level demonstrated in ICE cars, even with an increased age. That's true, yeah, because we don't hear about Nissan Leafs going ablaze at this point. Related to manufacturing defects, see the Hyundai Kona, Bolt EV, Jaguar I-Pace. Towing isn't at all likely to cause fires, as fast charging would generate far more heat. Blah, blah. And the Leaf doesn't have a modern thermal management system. It doesn't have one at all. It does not. Actually, it's not entirely true. Later Leafs have a heater to warm the battery up so you can charge it when it's frozen out. Uh, thermal management is a big part of why battery vehicles are lasting much longer than originally anticipated. Yeah. One of the first EVs to be produced in mass quantities was the humble Nissan Leaf, which isn't luxury by any means. So far, there isn't any evidence to suggest that fire risk increases even close to the level demonstrated in ICE cars. The HLDI fire incident report into EVs that the Nissan Leaf had a 0.16 fire incidents compared to the equivalent ICE Nissan, so that'd be the Versa at 0.15. You're wrong, it isn't even close. It's actually slightly higher. I would say that 0.16 and 0.15 are pretty darn close. Let's zoom around through this video and see if we can't see what part of the car was on fire. There we go. It's in the bottom of the back. And then two more cut fires. So I would say probably these two. Because that one's a fossil Amazon van right there. As is that one. It's a ProMaster. That one looks the same, so it's probably also a ProMaster. It's the bottom of the back. The battery doesn't go back that far on the vehicle. Yeah. Until we hear more, I would say that it very likely is a package that caught fire. So maybe it wasn't empty. Or something else in there. Battery's not at the top near the roof either. Battery's down low in the middle. Ah, see, look, this other one next to it had packages in it. So, yeah, that's a very real possibility. Oh, that's fire spread quick between these two. Yep, so it was these two next to each other, and the gas fan did not burn. So I guess they might suggest not parking them next to each other until the lot is full. Wow. So I'd suggest that very much like a Tesla, they probably have a lot of aluminum construction because that's how a burnt Tesla looks when it's consumed. You just get the steel parts left. Well, okay, let's check out our buddies at Electric. Some more commentary on the news real quick before we'll call it a day. So we talked about the Cybertruck motors. We didn't talk about this. BYD closes on a huge $1 billion plant in Turkey as global expansion accelerates. BYD got one, and yeah, that was the one that I didn't put it in the notes. It was a new plant. I guess I should have because it was a Chinese company getting around the Chinese tariffs from Europe and the US, but I didn't. We talked about the approval in China. The Ioniq 9 EV will launch later than expected. Here's what we know. I'm curious what will be in the Ioniq 9, but not enough to click into the article. The first German offshore wind farm will use Chinese turbines. Lieber says it is a big hydrogen wheel loader. It says its big hydrogen wheel loader beats BEVs, but are they right? Maybe if they want to run this thing 24/7, yeah, it'd be quicker to fill it with hydrogen than to do battery swaps, I guess. Is it worth getting into the whole hydrogen mess? Uh, maybe, but it's not, doesn't mean it's okay for personal transportation that it's going to make sense there. It does not and will not. Electric NASCAR racer arrives at Chicago street race with 1,300 horsepower. That's interesting. I've been saying, like, why didn't they do it? There it is. All kinds of fake vents too. Like, there's a real vent, but these all fake. 1,000 kilowatt. All right. 1,000 kilowatts. It's about time. Of course, I don't know that that will please their fans. We'll see how they do. Electric Formula Sun Grand Prix 2024 is now just a week away. Okay. I love seeing these solar races. Yeah, the students come up with some amazing designs. And now that the panels are getting more and more efficient, we should start to see some really impressive numbers here. The podcast, watched by marine technology leaders, Vita and Evoy combine forces. They merge. Yeah, they plan to unite their respective businesses in order to consolidate. They merged. Canada begins the next phase of the Canadarm3 development for Lunar Gateway. That's kind of fun. Jackery power stations. I think they're priced. Hyundai, Kia, and Subaru offer the best electric SUV lease deals in July, starting at $199 a month. Always good options, depending on what you need them for, obviously. S and X sales are crashing, and Tesla's hiding it. Oh my goodness! What's up, Fred? Uh, The SNX are old, and they're not the priority at the company. Let's see how Fred interprets it. They're not doing well, and Tesla's hiding it through its opaque delivery reporting. I don't know that they're hiding the SNX as much as they're hiding Cybertruck and Semi by doing that. Uh, they break down into two categories, 3 and Y and other. Wasn't too big an issue before the Cybertruck. Well, yes, it was, because before the Cybertruck, they had S and X, 3 and Y. There was no other. So we didn't know anything about the Semi. And so then when Cybertruck came out, it became other. I smushed them all together. Uh, so I disagree with that statement. Earlier this week, Tesla disclosed that 551 other models were delivered in Q2. Previously reported that Cybertruck recalls gave us a good idea of the deliveries at 8 to 9,000. So yeah, that would mean that the S and X dropped by at least that many. Because that's the same number we saw for S and X forever ago once they were able to hit that number. If we subtract those from Tesla's disclosure, it would put the S and X sales around 12 to 13,000 units. And potentially less. Don't forget the semi truck. And 12 to 13,000 units could be done on one S and X line, and there are two S and X lines. That's down 31 to 37% from the 19 to 25 S and X deliveries reported during the same period last year. It's also a more expensive car in a time of economic uncertainty. Tesla's seeing increased competition in the higher end segments. Yeah, you got the Lucid, you've got the Rivian, you've got so anyway, that's nice now complete with virtually every legacy automaker having a premium sedan and SUV. Yeah, and theirs aren't old. You still got the Plaids though. The S and X are still highly competitive with the new entries, but the technology advantage is becoming less evident. Electric thinks let's start by making it clear that S and X are not super meaningful to Tesla's overall performance, as they are much lower volume vehicles even without this decline. However, it could be an indication of what's to come for Tesla's newer models if the automaker can't keep ahead of its competition. That's one way to interpret it for sure. Unlike last quarter, Tesla doesn't have production excuses for S and X. Really, it's understandable that these models feel like an afterthought for Tesla, which yeah, they definitely are. Even some of the new guys are getting that legacy treatment, um, even though their cars are brand new and have all the latest tech. Finally, I'd like Tesla to break down the sales per model like virtually every other automaker other than itself and Rivian, who, to be fair, has only 2 models. That's not true either. Rivian has 3 models. Come on, Fred, don't be a sour sport. Uh, yeah, I don't always agree with Fred, but sometimes I do, sometimes I don't. And that one, I'm like, yeah, is that really what you got out of it? Forced to slow Taycan output as sales slump. Can the new Macan EV turn things around? Okay, so that other article saying the 19 a month wasn't still there anymore, I guess. As seen on YouTube. 19 a month for 24 months with $0 down, 60 available at this offer. Okay, I see. So all 60 are gone, and so now you're still under $100 a month. Gotcha. That's pretty clever. All right, so let's do an update on the HV Nomads project. There's still stuff in the trailer we need to remove from it, and then we need to remove the walls, get the measurements done, and send for the windows. So, like I said, it wouldn't be a fast project by any means, and it's not yet. But what I'm hoping is that once we get started, there can be a certain amount of momentum every week or month until it's done. And what I might try to do is once it gets to a certain level of complete, we might try and take it out before, like like on regional trips before it's finished, just to make sure that we're doing things where and how we want to do them. We'll see. So with that, I want to thank everybody for your time today. Thank you for your you know, sitting here and chatting with us. Everybody who was in chat today, all of our channel members, appreciate your monetary input as well. It helps, and we will catch you on the flip side. So I'll see you guys tomorrow on the Tesla Life show for Tesla Life Express, and then on Wednesday for the Tesla Life live show, and then right back here again 1 week from now at for Let's Chat with Kacey Green and Friends on July 14th at 1:10 p.m. What did you do, baby? You colored on your hand. You colored on our hands. Look at this. Come here. You want to show them? Show them what you did. Here, show them what you did. Show them your hand. Why are we coloring on the baby? You colored? That's how she says colored. Hotter. Why'd you color on my baby? The baby colored? You colored. So what's your paper look like if it look like this? You colored on the paper? You did. What's it look like? Yeah? Okay, I'm gonna come look in a second, all right? Say night night?
Night night.
All right, catch you guys on the flip side. It's not a banana, it's a car.
What are there?
Why is it over there? Because that's so we can see if it's working or not.
What are there?